don't fast, because in that case it would be counterproductive. We're fasting in order to be able to serve Hashem better, but as a result of that, we're doing the opposite. We're hurting ourselves, and especially people that their occupation is Torah study, they will be affecting their Torah study. They won't be able to concentrate properly because they don't feel well.
Good morning, everybody.
Whoa, what a surprise. Leah, good morning.
I moved. Just a date.
Okay. As long as you move back here, then it's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, we're using this Tanya over here on the shelf. So, so we said that there's also ruchnizik reason why. And let me add a third point, and that is the fact that the Eibishter made it, that today's day and age we're physically weaker and can't fast, is because beruchnius it's no longer the proper avodah. In other words, the two reasons aren't just okay. One reason is physically, the other reason is a spiritual reason. The fact that Hashem made it, that our bodies are weaker today, and we can't handle so much fasting, is because the spiritual avodah that's required of us today is not fasting. So this was what I mentioned, the sheet that I gave out. I should have made more copies. I didn't have Ruach HaKodesh. We'll have a bigger crowd today. But first, let's look at one side, which is the pasuk in the Chumash. It's a Parsha Mishpatim, and the pasuk. When I was doing chitas later, I realized that the parsha today actually has the same mitzvah, not these words, but it's the same mitzvahs, and was in this week's parsha, yesterday's chitas. We found this throughout the year many times that we talked about something, and then it's in that Kanya chitas, the Chumash chitas, some heavenly things going on. If you see a donkey of your enemy, the reason why it says your enemy means even if it's your enemy, how much more so if it's not your enemy. And he's lying under its burden, which means the burden is weighing it down, it can't get up. You might want to, you might not want to help him. So the Torah says you have a mitzvah, azev tazev imay, make every effort to help him. So then we turn the page, and here at Yom Yom, they have the interpretation of the Baal Shem Tov. Basically, you have, let's look in English, we have the words, when you see a chamer, a donkey. So the Baal Shem Tov says that means when you carefully examine your chomer. Chomer means materialism, which is the body. You will see, seinacha, it's your enemy, meaning your chomer hates your divine soul. The physical body and the materialism is in opposition to the godliness that longs for godliness and spirituality. Furthermore, you will see that the donkey is lying under its burden, means placed by the body, by Hashem, that it should become refined through Torah mitzvahs, but the body is lazy to fulfill them. In other words, the physical body is not cooperating, so to speak. It doesn't want to refine itself. So you might think that you will refrain from helping it to enable it to fulfill its mission, and instead you will follow the path of mortification of the flesh, which means to break down the body's crass materiality, meaning that by doing that, you make the body more, or rather less coarse, and therefore doesn't oppose you so much. But the way you're making the body less coarse is by breaking it, not by refining it, not by transforming it, but by weakening it. So the Shabbat said, however, this is not the approach that the light of Torah mitzvahs will reside, but instead you must aid it, you must help it, purify the body, refine it, but do not break it by mortification. So this is the difference. When a person fasts, and by fasting becomes more connected to Hashem, it means I'm breaking the body, and by breaking the body, the neshama could do what it does. So the Gashmis, this would be like, imagine an enemy that's attacking us. I mean, someone just sent this story to me this morning. If it's true, it's really an amazing story, but he claims that it's true, and they're finding it out to be publicized, that there were a group of soldiers that went into a mosque, and out of nowhere, this woman came out. She had a belt of explosives on her, screamed whatever she screamed. But one of the soldiers, when he saw what was happening, screamed out Shema Yisrael. When he screamed out Shema Yisrael, she froze. When she froze, they injured her, so she couldn't do anything. They arrested her, and then they found out that she's actually Jewish. She married an Arab. She went to Gaza, became involved in their activities. But when she heard Shema Yisrael, she froze. And of course, after this incident, she gave them a lot of information about tunnels and about other things. Her children were handed over to an organization that helps kids from such situations called Yad Lachem. And what happened here was the enemy wasn't destroyed, the enemy was transformed. So which is better? Not even a question. and this is also what it says about Mashiach. The whole world will serve Hashem, will recognize one God, which means there are two ways to get rid of the enemy on the larger scale, and the same thing within us. Getting rid of the enemy, which is the guf, could either be by breaking the guf or by transforming the guf. So therefore, the Baal Shem Tov says that fasting and all those things which break the guf, today it's unacceptable because we'll be weakening. So, and I explained yesterday that this, we'll be talking about it more, it's going to keep coming up, that it has to do with the fact that as we get closer to Mashiach, and when Mashiach comes, then we'll see the ultimate transformation, that the world will be so transparent that it'll be one with Hashem. And therefore, as we get closer to that time, we have the ability to do something which you didn't have in earlier generations, which is to bring out the godliness in everything, the Gashmis.
The story was true.
Yeah, I'm feeling the story was true. Well,
It's nice to believe.
that's what the person writes, that it's true, and they said that now it happened a while back, but now they can reveal the story, now that everybody is safe. So it's an amazing story. Okay, so we're in the middle of chapter 3.
Hello.
So here, what page is that? Page 200. That's where chapter 3 begins. Yeah, but we're up to page 205. So we learned yesterday, the part that we learned yesterday was that there is a certain amount of days of fasting designated for different averos. Like, for example, a man who didn't daven, missed the davening, is 73 fast days. For anger, is 151 fast days. So what if a person did a certain avera 3 times? So he has to fast that amount times 3. That's one opinion. The other opinion says, no, even if you do the avera 10 times, you only have to fast that amount, that set, 1 time. That's the difference of opinion. So Alter Rebbe says the accepted sort of compromise or reconciliation of both opinions is that if somebody, for example, has to fast 10 times this amount, they should only fast 3 times. And the rest, they'll substitute through tzedakah. So now we're up to page 205. This is in the Lessons in Tanya, the newer edition, the most recent edition. Where it starts with the words nevertheless. Nevertheless, the Komoken, Kol Bal Nefesh HaChavetz Kiras Hashem, person who still has this desire, wants to be close to Hashem, and he wants to have that complete refinement, complete cleansing. He wants to restore his relationship with Hashem in the most chosen, the finest way possible. So he's not so satisfied. I'm supposed to be fasting 10 sets of this number, and I'm only fasting 3. Yachmer al atmei, he could be more strict with himself. Lahashlim al kaponim, to complete at least hamachas kol mechayav misprat seinus lecholavim v'avim ma'avenis achmurim. At least during his lifetime, the person would finish at least throughout his lifetime one more time to all these averas, but only the ones that are more serious, the ones that are punishable by death. So, for example, for a wasteful emission of semen, 84 fasts at least once in his life. How does he do that? He can do it over a period of time. Doesn't have to do it one day after the other. Not only that, he could postpone it to fast only during the winter when the days are short. So each winter he'll fast 10 fast days. So I'm going back to what I told you last time. The Alter Rebbe was talking about a person that one Avera is going to spread it out in a few winters. Could you imagine how many Averas he has on his list? I mean, obviously he doesn't have much work to do. So he'll finish the 84 fast days in 9 years. The Rebbe also adds that when a person, remember, these fast days are not like Tisha B'Av, that you have to fast 24 hours. The fast day starts with the morning. The Rebbe says, therefore, he can even eat 3 hours before sunrise, and it's also considered fasting. Especially if he made that stipulation before he began the fast, then I'm not gonna start the fast until 3 hours before. Well, the Tashrim Reishnim based Tzemis, what does he do about completing the 3 times? Now the Rebbe says, "Okay, I'll make another leniency. You can fast just a half a day, and 2 half days will add up to 1. So one time I'll fast a set of 84, spread it out in 9 years, and the other one will be the other amount that I have to catch up to is going to be half days throughout. Also, who knows how many years." The Mishal Gamkein Painis B'Yishalmi, this is also considered fasting in Gemara Yishalmi. Ubeis Chatzor Yoin, and 2 half days are also considered like 1 day regarding this subject. The same would be with other Averas. They have to fast a certain amount. The person will make an effort to do at least 1 set, and the other, to make it to 3, will do half days and things like that. Yeah.
What you might find is that if somebody wasn't robust and healthy enough to fast, then it would be considered the opposite of good. So I'm like thinking back to this time period and when people weren't as maybe you could say robust as we are now. So was this even something practically done for the people of this?
You're saying that people were not as strong as we were?
I mean, that's my assumption. Is that the truth?
Apparently not, but it says here was that years ago people used to fast a lot, all these fast days. And
for high people.
Right.
Everybody then like,
but I know it seems like it was quite common for people to fast. If you ever read the book called Memoirs, these are memoirs of the Friedrich Rebbe, and it's about the life of the Alter Rebbe's father, how he was searching for a path, and how he found Chassidus, and he got connected to Baal Shem Tov. But it describes his life. He used to fast almost all week until Shabbos. And what he's doing all the time, learning. We know ourselves when there's a fast day. By the time you reach 12 o'clock, everybody has a headache, and we have to stop classes, and we can't go on anymore. So obviously, they must have been stronger in this area. The physical body was able to handle more than we handle today. I know people didn't live as long in those days. They didn't have a lot of cures to a lot of diseases, but it seems in different ways they must have had more resistance than we did.
I think that's why I have the assumption that maybe they were not as healthy because we have more medicine nowadays, like more access to food and whatever.
Right. Could be. Also, in those days, something like an infection could have finished someone off. Today, Baruch Hashem, it's nothing. Asher kol lev yodea moras nafshe v'chapes b'tzadka. Every heart knows its own personal anguish and wants to desire. So every person according to their level. But what happens if a person has to fast even more than these amounts? So that's what he says. Okay, misprat seimus ha'etz from our regional base. The amount of fasting that even more than the 3, because the 3 seems to be that's like the most important. But what if there's more than that? You can't do 10. The answer to that is page 208. That amount of fast that you had to fast, lochush l'dasan achmirim, in order to take into consideration the opinion of those that are more stringent, and they say that you have to fast this set and this amount for every single time that the Avera was done. The answer is Yivda Kulam B'Tzdaka, Erech Hagidei and Perla Shabbat Kol Yom, to redeem them through tzedakah. Yeah.
I was gonna say back to the article comment, maybe it's not like we're more pampered today, like an animal that grows in the zoo like might live a lot longer and taken care of it if it was to go into the wild. It would be like
that probably is also true. Yeah. They weren't as sensitive as we are.
Today's thing for talking a lot of emotional stuff. I think it's a generation of emotional struggles. I think that weighs down people.
Could be.
If anything, if you give ourselves credit.
Good. We have 3 answers in one shot. Okay. The same applies to all the other fast days, even for lighter things. And all the mitzvahs which are the Raisim, the Rabbanon, Talmud Terek and Kulam, or for a man who neglected Torah study, there's so many days to fast. What's written up by the Arizal, the amount of fast days for each Avera. Veruba, most of these prescribed amounts are found in the sefer called Mishnas Chasidim b'Masechta Tshuva. Haka kashalachah. So all these fast days, rather than fasting, yivda b'tzedakah kaniska le'el. He should redeem them with tzedakah. Ilamotzi v'tzurei nafshe kaniska le'el. He wouldn't be able to do this to himself because he's too weak. And the Alter Rebbe will soon say that's why today there's so much emphasis on giving a lot of tzedakah. Besides the fact that tzedakah is a big mitzvah, but giving tzedakah is today instead of fasting, and fasting instead of korban. So giving tzedakah is the most powerful way of healing and cleansing from the Avera. Yep.
that's like tzedakah is that like outside of our mindset.
We'll get there in exactly 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Even though if you think of these, I'm giving so much tzedakah for this Avera and that Avera, he actually gives an amount. There is a translation to how much that amount is, but we don't work with bookkeeping on this because we can't keep the bookkeeping here. Just give a lot of tzedakah. But there is an amount. It says 18 of this coin that was part of the currency in those days, Gedolim Polish, that's what it was called. So it might add up to an amount that's more than you can handle. Or not more than it can handle, but more than the amount you're supposed to give for tzedakah. So that's what he says, even though it might add up to more than this amount. And the Gemara says, Al Yivazbej Yesim Chomesh, which means one should not sort of splurge when it comes to tzedakah and give more than a fifth. Person should give a fifth of his earnings to tzedakah, Api halacha, you're obligated to give 20%, 10%, which is the required amount. If I want to give more, then it's a good thing to give more. How much? Up until 20%. Not to give more than a fifth of my earnings. That's if I give more than a fifth, again, it's counterproductive, and then I'm hurting myself. So if I'm going to give all this money to tzedakah, what's going to happen? The Alter Rebbe says, "Like mikra bizbuz, this is not called extravagant distribution. It's not called like giving, going overboard in my giving of tzedakah. Why? I'm not just giving tzedakah because I want to observe the mitzvah of tzedakah. I'm also giving it in order to as a refinement, process of cleansing, a process of spiritual healing. Just like when it comes to physical needs, just like when it comes to health. No one says I'm going to pay money for a doctor, but if it's more than 20%, I'm not going to go to the doctor. You spend the money you need to be healthy. So here also we spend the money we need to be healthy spiritually. And that's what it concludes. Being that the numbers that are found in these svarim that write about how to do tshuva, there's so many fasting days. That's why today, those people who are now God-fearing, that their custom is that people give a lot of tzedakah. They're very generous with giving tzedakah. Machmas chalishas are there because of the weakness of our generation. We can't sort of do this to ourselves and fast so much, so therefore we must do it instead with tzedakah. Commission is bar b'makamach pasuk chazli Hashem kilei somnu. There's a pasuk where it says chazli Hashem, the kindness of Hashem kilei somnu. And that means, literally it means Hashem's kindness has no end. But there's another way of interpreting it. The word tam means complete. Hashem will be kind to us because we're not complete, we're not perfect, and we can't do the things that they did. So Hashem will compensate that with the tzedakah that we give will be as good as all the fasting that could be done. So basically, this is the three things. The first thing is a korban. The second thing instead of that is fasting. And the third thing instead of that is giving tzedakah.
Tzedakah and Meiser synonymous, or they're Meiser and then tzedakah active?
No, giving Meiser would also be part of it. But the Alter Rebbe is saying to give Meiser plus.
Right, but let's say you do 20% as Meiser, and then that's still, then if you give more than that, it's called tzedakah. Like, are they the same thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Meiser and tzedakah.
Yeah, Meiser, after all, is only a measurement, just an amount. That the requirement is to give 10% tzedakah. If I want to go beyond that, I give 20% tzedakah. And for this purpose, I give more tzedakah, but it's all tzedakah.
There is no limit for how much you can give for this purpose.
For what?
For this purpose, like you can go about.
Right. Of course, a person has to use common sense, you know. Okay. So I guess some of you don't have workbooks, so we'll take it out. Well, whoever doesn't have it, take one and we'll do the questions. Thank you. We'll take 5 minutes to do this. What page is it?
11.
Page 11. And the terms are on page 13. So 11, 12, and 13. No, not 13. So 11, 12, and probably 14. No, there isn't any terms here, so just 11 and 12. Give it 5 minutes, and then we'll review it, and then we'll start trading dollars. Okay, we'll start. So, number one, what are the two opinions concerning the amount of fast days?
The amount of, like, if we do a Saturday, or we should then possibly corresponding to the amount of time we've done this specific area. And the second one is we only have to balance once for a specific area, and then it'll cover all of that, like all.
Right. So one opinion is that if a person did it a number of times, you only have to fast one time that set and that amount of fast days. And the other opinion is, no, you have to fast that amount of fast days for every single time that I did that Avera. Number two, what is the accepted compromise? Why is it accepted compromise to fast 3 times? What's so significant about 3? Yeah.
He took a decision, it's practically because the first time, someone sins, they, make an impression, the second time, it's an even greater impression than the.
Right. So the Zohar says when a person does an Avera 1 time, it makes a certain impression on the soul. Second time, a deeper impression. But the third time, it spreads from one end of the soul to the other end of the soul. So in order to undo that, we also need 3 times. Number 3, what's the Alter Rebbe's compromise? This is the part that we learned today, but I don't know if it was so clear, so I'm going to try to say it in a more clear way. The Alter Rebbe's compromise is like this, that whatever amount the person has to, let's say he has to fast 10 times, according to those opinions, so he should fast once. The other 2 times he should fast half days, and all the rest of the times he should redeem them through tzedakah, and that's a fast. That's the Alter Rebbe's compromise. That the 3 times try to do it, but in a moderate way, which is do it once, and even that could be spread out over many days or even many years. And the other 2 times should be half days, so it'll be even easier, and the rest will be through tzedakah. And again, what we do today is we do everything through tzedakah. No fasting. What is the limit? How much tzedakah one can give for this purpose? Normally, the limit is up to 20%. What's the limit here?
No.
There's no limit, right? Why is it that before the time of the Baal Shem Tov, fasting was a way of serving Hashem, and after the Baal Shem Tov's fasting, it's discouraged?
Yeah. That made our bodies more weak. Bring like spiritual and physical.
Right, but we're missing the conclusion. He's saying it's before Mashiach. That's why Hashem made us weak. What? What's the difference?
So like bring like because of my physical weak, the bottom we're not supposed to do anymore. Instead, we're able to like bring,
Well, first of all, I'll explain it the other way around. Because there's a different avodah, Hashem made us physically weak.
right.
Okay, now the question is why? What is the different avodah? Yeah, right. Before we couldn't bring godliness into the physical the same way. So the only way to be spiritually connected is by sort of rejecting the physical, excluding the physical, getting away from it. That's what they did. Fasting, not sleeping, going, other things that they did. It was a way of pushing away all the physical things. Today, as we post to Mashiach, we have the power to transform the physical and make the physical spiritual. So that's different. To give you an example, I'm giving you an example of something which I think you would know from last year. You must have learned it in the Sikha, I'm pretty sure. This is similar to what happened when the Torah was given. There's a famous Gemara that says that when Hashem came to give the Torah to the Jewish people, they were sleeping. And Hashem actually had a complaint. Imagine, teacher comes to the classroom and everybody's sleeping. But and that's why we have to be up all night Shavuos to make up for that. But the Rebbe says it's inconceivable that they went to sleep because they were disinterested. The reason why they counted the Omer was because they couldn't wait with anticipation, excitement for Matan Torah to come, and then to say that before they got the Torah, they went to sleep just like that. No, they must have gone to sleep intentionally. The Rebbe explains that, yes, they knew that the Torah would be given is going to be an enormous godly revelation, like a prophecy. It was a prophecy, but on a much higher level. And just like a Navi, when he received the prophecy, his body would go into an unconscious state. Why? Because the body couldn't handle it. So the body would become unconscious, and then in his soul alone, he could absorb and experience whatever spiritually is happening. So the Yidden also prepared in the same way, put themselves to sleep, so they could experience Matan Torah in the most spiritual way. So their intention was really positive. So what's wrong with it? Why do we have to be up all night?
The best way is like within the body.
Oh, so the same thing again. Because they were saying we want to have this spiritual experience, let's exclude the body, let's get the body out of the way, put him to sleep, and he won't be disturbing, won't be an interference. And Hashem said, no, I want you to receive the Torah with the body. I want you to include the body in the Matan Torah experience. So did they do something wrong or they didn't do something wrong?
Well,
The intention,
unaligned.
the intention was correct.
Right. So let me give you one more point. Not only intention was correct, remember they did it before the Torah was given. Before the Torah was given, there was actually a division between heaven and earth. There was a separation between spirituality and physicality. So it was true. But the whole purpose of Torah was a new level of emerging spiritual with physical. So therefore, from now on, we have to be awake because now we can have the spiritual merge with the physical. So this idea of the spiritual merging with the physical, there are many, many levels of how deep that is and how strong that is. And from time to time, it gets more and more. When Mashiach comes, it'll reach the ultimate. But when the Baal Shem Tov began to teach Hasidus, it was a new era in this inyan, that the spiritual and the physical are now closer than ever. And therefore, there was also a new era regarding fasting.
There's nothing wrong with what they did then.
Exactly.
So why don't we have a teacher enough doing it?
Because we are now, after the Torah was given, so we have to learn to accept the Torah with the body.
Has nothing to do with that then. Something it's not a secret, it's you.
Right, we use the word tikkun, but it means they did it that way because they did it before the Torah was given. But we are now after the Torah was given, so we have to do it this way.
So connection then, there's nothing wrong with that. But everyone does a connection.
Which means we learn from what they did that this is something which we should not do. That's what it means. Yeah.
Why would our eyes get weaker because of that?
Weaker means Hashem made that the body shouldn't be able to handle being broken in this way. Why? So then we should do it in the other way by transforming it.
The women also like are included in all this, like they go to sleep, they shouldn't go to sleep, if they're also on a woman.
No, women are not required to be up all night. They're up all night every night with the babies, you know. So, but women are not required to be up all night.
Or do they sleep then?
What?
Do they sleep then?
Then I don't know. A
Yeah,
long time ago, I can't remember. It's 3,000 years ago. Okay, let's do the last piece. Explain the following pasuk according to the Baal Shem Tov. Again, so the first words are kisira chamer senacha. That would mean that you see that the chamer, the body, which is the materialism in you, senacha is your enemy. Next line, reivetz tachas masoi. It's lying under its burden, which means the donkey can't get up, which means the body is not willing to refine itself, to work on itself. The body is lazy, and therefore it interferes with the desires of the neshama. Next line, the chodalta mazevla. You would think to let it go, meaning neglect it, ignore it, exclude it, just work on your soul. So the Torah says, ozev tazev ima, you have to help him, meaning you have to work with the body and elevate the body together with you. So what would be the main point of Perek Gimel?
Combined body and soul.
The main point of Perek Gimel is to understand that what's in place of carbon is fasting, and what's in place of fasting is tzedakah. Chapter 2, rather, he introduced the idea that we need the carbon as a gift, as a present to give to the king to restore our relationship. And chapter 3 explains that now that we don't have carbon, we can accomplish that through fasting. And then it goes on that now we don't have fasting, we can accomplish it through tzedakah. That helps restore the relationship with Hashem like before.
I know.
Very beneficial around the fast.
What?
Not beneficial to fast.
No. You know, unless a person fails that by fasting there, and they are becoming healthier, then they do it for health purposes. But for spiritual purposes, it's unacceptable.
I was gonna say, that there are some people, according to their personality and their nature, something that I find, speaking to myself, some people are more spiritual, so like, they need to be more in the practical, the Gilbert Dafonim, it's Mamashar Voda, some other people, they're more of a grounded person. It's second nature to just, buzz around, doing their household stuff and taking care of themselves, like, it's unique, for other people, it's not much like. It's
A
like
bigger avodah.
different to their character, so. Am I connecting, like? Yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, some people are more spiritual, some people are more physical, but all in all together, still the avodah is to work with the physical, right? It's just
Okay.
that
I'll have it easier.
some people have it easier than others, which means in this physical itself, they're more leaning to the spiritual. These are sort of subtle differences, but in general, we all have the same avodah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so tomorrow, Mirza, we'll start with chapter 4. Which is here's up until now was more like the halacha part of it. Chapter 4 starts the whole union of chassidus of the 2 levels of tshuva, as we'll start tomorrow. You're very welcome. Good to see you. So, who do you live? Who are your roommates?
No, I'm
Who?